Why this hotel had no room numbers. Guests noticed it immediately. Doors without digits. Corridors without direction. Nothing to confirm where you were supposed to be. At first, it felt disorienting, then intentional, then quietly unsettling. To understand why a hotel would remove something as basic as room numbers, we have to return to a moment when identity became over-labeled. Titles, rankings, categories, everything reduced to a marker. Even rest came with a number attached to it. This hotel chose subtraction instead. Without room numbers, arrival changed completely. Guests were not handed a destination. They were guided. Staff led them personally, not because guests were incapable, but because the hotel refused self-navigation. Movement became relational, not positional. The reveal was immediate. Guests stopped orienting themselves by status. There were no high floors to aspire to, no corner rooms to compare, no numeric signals of hierarchy. Everyone arrived without context, without a reference point to measure themselves against others. At first, some guests resisted. They asked for directions. They tried to memorize turns. They wanted anchors, but the hotel quietly denied all of it. Paths were intentionally similar, corridors curved, landmarks repeated. Even memories struggled to form. This was not confusion by accident. It was disarmament. Without numbers, guests could not locate themselves socially. They could not infer importance. They could not compare proximity to power. The usual mental shortcuts collapsed. Presence replaced positioning. The hotel understood something fundamental. Numbering creates ranking. Ranking creates behavior. By removing numbers, the building stripped away silent competition. Guests stopped asking where others were staying. They stopped tracking who was closer to whom. Attention turned inward. This hotel did not want guests to know where they stood. It wanted them to notice how they felt. And that shift would change everything about how they moved, interacted, and decided inside these walls. Because once location loses meaning, behavior becomes the only signal left. And this hotel was watching very closely. As guests settled into the hotel, the absence of room numbers began reshaping their experience in ways far deeper than simple disorientation. Because without numerical anchors to organize memory, the mind stopped treating space as a map and started experiencing it as a sequence of sensations, movements, and interactions that could not be ranked or compared. People stopped saying where they were staying and began describing how they felt instead. The reveal deepened as guests realized how often numbers usually guide behavior without permission. High floors imply importance. Lower floors suggest transience. Certain numbers carry prestige, others avoidance. Here, none of that existed. Every room arrived without context, stripped of symbolic value before the door even opened. Staff became the new reference points, not as authorities, but as guides. Guests followed, not because they were lost, but because navigation had been intentionally externalized. Control shifted subtly. Movement depended on relationship, not instruction. Trust replaced orientation. At first, this unsettled guests who relied on structure. They attempted to create private systems, counting turns, marking landmarks, tracking patterns. But the building resisted memory. Corridors mirrored one another. Lighting repeated. Spatial logic dissolved just enough to prevent mastery. What replaced mastery was presence. Guests paid closer attention to textures, sounds, and pacing. The walk back to their room became a moment rather than a task. Encounters happened without context. You met people without knowing where they ranked spatially. Conversation followed curiosity instead of comparison. Over time, this altered social dynamics completely. Guests stopped asking each other questions that usually establish hierarchy. No one asked what floor you were on. No one inferred status from proximity. The usual signals were gone, and without them, interaction softened. The hotel revealed its deeper intention through this erasure. Identity collapses faster when labels disappear. Behavior becomes the only currency. Guests who were comfortable without reference thrived. They moved freely. They adapted easily. Those who needed orientation struggled, asking repeatedly for clarity that never arrived. The building responded to neither preference. It simply continued. The longer guests stayed, the clearer the experiment became. This hotel was not hiding rooms. It was hiding comparison. And without comparison, power behaved differently. The conflict was beginning to surface quietly, because when people cannot locate themselves relative to others, they must confront who they are without hierarchy. And that confrontation was only just beginning. The conflict emerged when guests realized that without room numbers, there was no stable way to anchor identity inside the hotel, and that loss of reference began unsettling habits they didn't know were habits at all. Without spatial ranking, authority lost its shortcuts. Influence could no longer lean on proximity. Everyone moved through the building unmarked. The build-up intensified as guests reacted differently to this erasure. Some adapted quickly, accepting guidance without resistance, allowing themselves to be led without feeling diminished. Others struggled visibly. They asked the same questions repeatedly. They tried to reclaim control through memory, through repetition, through insistence. Each attempt failed quietly. What disturbed them was not confusion. It was equality. Without numbers, no one could claim advantage through placement. There was no higher ground, no implied importance. Encounters happened without context. You spoke to someone without knowing if they were closer to power or further from it. Conversation began naked. This exposure created pressure. Guests accustomed to reading rooms before entering them found themselves unable to prepare. Tone could not be adjusted in advance. Posture could not be optimized. Every interaction demanded presence, not calculation. Staff noticed the shift immediately. Guests who needed hierarchy grew impatient. Requests became sharper. Control-seeking behaviors surfaced. Meanwhile, those who accepted the ambiguity softened. Their movements synchronized with the building. Their stays unfolded with less friction. The hotel was not neutral. It was observant. The absence of numbers acted as a filter, not for wealth, not for influence, but for comfort with uncertainty. Those who could not exist without reference revealed themselves through tension. Those who could adapt it quietly and gain trust. The emotional pressure peaked when guests recognized a deeper implication. Without labels, there was nowhere to hide. You could not be the guest on the best floor. You could not be the one closest to the center. You could only be yourself, moving through space without comparison. The hotel had removed the silent architecture status, and in doing so, it forced guests to confront how much of their behavior depended on knowing where they stood. The conflict was no longer about navigation. It was about identity, and the climax was approaching, because a system that removes hierarchy must eventually reveal what replaces it. The climax arrived when guests stopped trying to locate themselves. Not physically, socially, without room numbers, something irreversible had happened. Comparison collapsed. Guests no longer asked who was closer to the center. No one speculated about status through placement. The invisible ladder everyone normally climbs had simply vanished, and in its absence, behavior told the truth. Those who relied on hierarchy felt exposed. They had nothing to lean on, no signals to amplify importance. No shortcuts to authority. Others felt relief. Without ranking, they spoke more openly, listened more carefully, moved without performance. The hotel had revealed its core insight. Hierarchy is not enforced. It is inferred. Remove the markers, and power has to stand on its own. The resolution unfolded quietly as guests adapted. Conversations grew more direct. Requests softened. Trust formed without pretense. When guests eventually left, many noticed a change outside. Offices felt louder. Labels felt heavier. Numbers felt unnecessary. This hotel did not eliminate status. It eliminated the illusion that status needs symbols. By removing room numbers, it stripped away silent competition. What remained was presence, composure, and clarity. And that is why this hotel mattered. It proved that when you erase hierarchy from space, people must carry their authority internally. In a world obsessed with ranking, this place offered something radical, an experience where who you are mattered more than where you were. Why